class. So today I'm going to be making a pork and prawn wonton soup. I've got all the elements here for our wontons, and then we're going to do the soup element of that later. I've got 500 grams of pork mince, 200 grams, around about 10 to 12 prawns. I've got a packet of wonton wrappers. This packet has 25 wrappers in it. However, if you go to an Asian grocer, you can get ones that have 50 wrappers in it, and that will be enough for all our ingredients here to fill. I've got 6 cloves of garlic, 1 carrot, 2 spring onion pieces here, and then we've got our flavorings. So we've got our soy sauce. You'll have 1 tablespoon of that, 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, tablespoon of sesame oil, and then our salt to taste. First thing that I'm going to show you how to do is how to peel a prawn. I've got 10 here that I've already peeled. Then I've got 2 here that I'll show you a demonstration. We've got the whole prawn here. It's got the head and all. What we want to do is we want to twist the head off. So slowly just twist the head off and get rid of that. Then what you want to do is you want to peel from the legs around. You'll notice that it will just slide around all the way of the prawn there if you peel from the bottom end, all right? So all you need to do is peel around the prawn from the bottom all the way to the other side, and then you can just pop the tail off. All right, so to pop the tail off, all you need to do is squeeze and slightly pull, and then you'll get the whole prawn out there. Prawns as well, they have a poo chute that runs all the way up what you'd say is its spine here. So if it does have a poo chute, you want to pull it out. As you see, that's the prawn's poo chute. Get rid of that. No one wants to find a bit of poo chute in their prawn. What we're going to do now with our prawns is we're going to give them a fine chop. We want to chop them finely enough so there's not big chunks, but we don't want to turn it into a paste because when we combine all the other ingredients, we are going to be mixing it again. So we're just going to put these on our chopping board. So now that I have got my prawn meat all diced up into small pieces, we're going to put it in with our pork mince here. Now that we've got that prepared, we're going to get our vegetables prepared, ready to put in our filling. We are just going to, because I had a carrot lying around, grate our carrot, put that in our mixture. Then with our spring onions, we don't want the bit that has almost the hairy looking bit on it. So we're going to get rid of that. And then we're just going to cut these really fine. All right, now that I have this all finely diced, we're going to put that into our mixture. Then work on our garlic. Once again, we want to get rid of the skin. Put your knife on it, and then you can just press it down, and then your skin will just pop straight off it. Now that we've got all our garlic peeled, give that a really nice fine chop again, or use a garlic crusher and put it in your mixture. That way it'll be nice and small. Now that I have my garlic in really small, finely chopped pieces, we're going to add that to our mixture. Now that we've got everything in here for our mixture, it's time to add our flavoring. So I'm going to have 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, 1 tablespoon of our soy sauce, and although I said earlier 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, if you like sesame oil, 1 tablespoon is exactly what the recipe wants. However, I don't love sesame oil and I don't like it being too overpowering. So I'm just going to use 1 teaspoon of the sesame oil. Now to this, I'm going to give it a stir, and then I will stir through a little bit of salt. With this recipe, you won't need that much salt to taste because, of course, we've got the soy sauce and that is quite salty in flavour. Now that I've got all that mixed, I'm just going to mix through just a pinch of salt because I know that that will be quite salty. All right, so now that we have our wonton filling ready, I'm going to show you how to wrap them. There are so many different ways that you can wrap wontons. However, this is one way that I found that I like when they cook. As you can see here, this is what our wonton wrapper looks like. It's quite small and it is quite thin. You're just going to place that down a nice, clean, flat surface. Now with your mixture here, you're just going to grab a small amount. I've just grabbed that much there. You don't want too much in this or else it's going to be overfilled and you're not going to be able to seal it shut. With that mixture, I'm going to place that right in the center of our wonton. Now with our water here, we're going to use this as a glue. So this is going to help seal it shut so it stays together. Just dipping your finger in, run your finger around the edges. You don't want too much. Now that we've got it around all the edges, we're just going to, with this point here, so this corner, bring it over to this corner. That's your first step. Now what we want to do is we want to close and seal the edges. So just pushing down so we get our edges to meet. You just want to press down so it seals. While you do this, you also want to be pressing out any air that is potentially in there. So just go really close to the filling and then push outwards. Now we've got our triangle. With this, we are now going to push that bit in slightly. You see how this starts to fold there? We're just going to fold our two edges over, using a little bit more water. Push it together. And there you have one of your wontons all ready to go. Now that we've got our wontons all ready to go, it is time to get onto the broth for our soup. We're going to use one of these chicken stocks. You can use a homemade chicken stock. You can use one of even the Chinese dumpling stocks. That would be fantastic. However, we've got this. So we're going to use one of these, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of our rice wine vinegar, 1/4 teaspoon of the sesame oil, 2 teaspoons of sugar. I'm also going to cook some egg noodles in it. Then we've got all our vegetables that are going to flavor it as well. We've got ginger. I've just peeled that and cut it up into 2 cubes. Garlic. You don't need to have these finely chopped because we are actually going to bring them out of the broth. It's just to flavor it. Some of our spring onion, the white ends. Some bok choy. Some broccolini. And 2 carrots. I have just cut these up into battens already, just so when we eat it, you don't have big chunks of carrot. Now, one thing that's really important to do is to wash your vegetables because you don't want to have any dirt. It will taste really grainy, especially bok choy. So what you do is just cut the end off there and then give all of your leaves a really good wash. I've done some here earlier and I have just cut the pieces in half so it just goes further. You can use 2 bok choys, 1 bunch of broccolini. I'm just going to cut roughly into 2 pieces there, and your carrots. All right, so now it's time for us to get started on our broth. Just going to add our chicken stock to the pot here. We're going to add our garlic, so we're infusing it all with the garlic taste, our ginger, and everything here. So we're going to add our sugar, rice wine vinegar, our soy, and our sesame oil. Now we're just going to let this come to the boil. Then we're going to start to add our vegetables. So I'm just going to get my egg noodles cooked in some boiling water. These ones will take about 6 minutes, but it does depend on the brand. So you just need to read the instructions. In the meantime, I'm going to let my stock simmer away and get all those flavors infusing in it. Our egg noodles are now cooked, so I'm going to turn that off and I'm going to drain them. Now that we've had our stock simmering away and infusing with all that garlic and ginger, it's time to scoop those pieces out. Now we're going to turn this up and bring it back to the boil and start adding all our vegetables here. You need to make sure that you are starting with the firmer vegetables, so the ones that take longer to cook, and then slowly add the other ones. So I'm going to start adding my carrots, my spring onions. Then I'm going to add the broccolini stems, all right? They will take longer than the florets of the broccoli here. Then last but not least, the bok choy. That takes next to no time, so make sure you're putting that right at the end. Whilst that is cooking away, we're going to start boiling our dumplings, and then we're going to assemble it all together. So I'm going to add my carrots. I'm going to add the stems of my spring onions, and I'm going to add the stems of my broccolini. I'm now going to let that cook in the boiling stock here. It's going to infuse all those flavors. Then let's get onto the dumplings. All right, so I've got my water boiling here for my dumplings. Now I'm just going to carefully place them in. These are going to take, because they're nice and plump, about 5 to 7 minutes, but also it's an indication when they start rising to the surface. Now that these veggies have had some time to cook, it's time to add the rest of them, our broccolini, and we're just going to have to squeeze in our bok choy here. When the heat gets to it, it will start to shrink down, and I'm just going to let that cook away in the broth. Our dumplings as well have been cooking for about 6 minutes now. It's time to get these out. See how they have held their shape here? They haven't fallen apart. The steel is still stuck together. Now that we've got our wontons cooked and our broth cooked, I've put my egg noodles that I've cooked in the bottom of the bowls here. Now I'm going to put some of my vegetables in each bowl, evenly spread that. Then we place our wontons on top here. And we ladle on some of our delicious broth that's got all the flavors that have infused in it, with our garlic, ginger, all our veggies. Then you can add some fresh chili on there, some chili oil, some extra soy if you want it a little bit more saltier. Then it's good to go. See you later, guys.